Hey guys, Grax from Control Alt Record back again, and this time with my beginner's guide to SCUM. SCUM is an extremely detailed survival game and was recently released into early access on Steam on the 29th of August this year, 2018, and it's been described by the developers as an open world prison riot survival game. The game features an extremely detailed crafting and survival system where your food, nutrients, digestion and even bowel and bladder contents come into play. The gameplay in SCUM feels like a mashup of PUBG, DayZ, Rust with a little bit of 7 Days to Die thrown in as well. The premise of the game is similar to the story in movies like The Hunger Games and The Running Man, in the sense that it's set in a not too distant future where the people of the world crave televised bloodlust as entertainment, and as a convicted criminal your character is transported to SCUM Island to be given a chance to survive against the other inmates, gain fame and possibly even your freedom. I've put about 10 hours into SCUM so far. As you can see by my character on the screen there, he's got a little bit of gear. But what I really wanted to do with this video is just make a short, quick starter video to show people the things that I think are really useful to know when you're first starting out in the game. It took me a while to work some things out. I've never played a game like this before. It's very detailed in how it presents its crafting, your health, all that kind of stuff, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. So I've got a couple of things here that I think will help people get into the game when they first get it. So let's go and have a look at that and get into it. So we'll just create a single player character and we'll show you what that looks like. So some of the options aren't available yet because it's still early access, but here you pick your age at the top, and you can see as you choose your age, as the age goes up, strength goes down, intelligence increases, so you can sort of, balance out how you want to do things. Your age affects your strength, constitution and intelligence, dexterity, etc. So around my current guy I made 40 just because I did. You can also choose what kind of body type your person has. Now this does have ramifications in the game. The more muscular you are, obviously the stronger you are, but the more carbohydrates you need in your diet to maintain your muscle mass, otherwise you start to become weak and lose your muscle. The thinner you are, the less you need to eat, but you're not as strong. The fatter you are, the longer you can go without food because you can live off your body fat for a certain amount of time. I think most people will probably go try and balance somewhere in the middle unless you're going for a particular kind of build of some way. And you can also adjust here how you want to do your stats if you want to do it that way. Skin color, can't change that yet. At the moment we can just change the head to 4 different types, and that changes your skin color if you want to do that. You can have tattoos, there's 4 different types currently. Really up to yourself how you want to do that. It doesn't appear to have any impact on gameplay at this stage. Can't do any floors, can't do any of the crime or the gear, and you can't change away from the male gender at this point in time. So when you come to the next screen after you're happy with those stats, you've then now got to assign your skill points. At the moment for strength there's only boxing, rifles, melee weapons and handgun in the game. Constitution there's only running and endurance. Stealth is the only dexterity skill, and awareness, sniping, camouflage and survival are the only intelligence skills. So again, depending on how you want to play the game, you can get these skills right up to advanced, and once you run out of your total amount you have no points to assign elsewhere, but you will level them up by doing the related skills in the game. So early on it really depends, like I said, how you want to play, but you start with nothing apart from the clothes on your back. So your very first weapons are going to be a melee weapon and possibly a wooden spear. So you might want to look at having some decent skill in melee weapons at least, and maybe a little bit in boxing, like so. And for later, when you actually do find some guns, you might want to have some points in there to go. You do a lot of running in this game. It's a massive map, so you do want to have some running skills, but that being said, as I mentioned before, by doing the skill you will actually level it up. So because you do quite a bit of running, you can afford to have that a little bit lower than your endurance and level it up in the game. Stealth is the only skill at the moment for dexterity, so we can afford to put as much into that as we've got. Sniping is one of my favourite pastimes, but for now in the game, by the time you find a sniper rifle, you know, you're probably going to want to have some other skills first. Things like survival and camouflage are helpful, and I don't have the intelligence at the moment to choose all of them, so I'll just try and get... That'll do, and let's go. So here's our criminal record, list of all our skills, what our crime was, but all of this stuff is the same every time. I imagine once the game fully comes out, as was shown in the front page, you can choose your crime and your flaws and things. So anyway, let's get to the ground and show you the things that are worth knowing. Alrighty, so here we are. Graphics are really quite good in this game. I really like them. It reminds me a lot of the graphics in PUBG. Gameplay is a little bit similar with regards to the weapons and stuff, but I do very much like how the game looks. So let's have a look at our map and see where we are. So you can see at the moment we are in grid D4, which is in the top left, and with the blue triangle that's turning around. So the map is quite massive, and those orange dots all around the place, or the big blobs of orange, are small buildings, towns and cities all around the place where you could find potential loot. And obviously the goal is to get as much loot as you can and get off the island. So in the back of my head there you can see that green thing. That's called your BCU, or body control unit, body control implant, and that's what gives you all the information about your metabolism, which is on page 3 of your inventory. You open the inventory with the tab key, and you can press 1, 2, 3 and 4 to scroll through, or you can click these tabs at the top here. So as I said, very detailed when it comes to your metabolism. All of this stuff here tells you down, this is the part you probably want to be looking at the most with regards to whether you're sick or injured. That'll appear down here. Performance stats and stuff, you might want to keep an eye on that. These little triangles on the side here collapse the various sections, so you can close them up a little bit. Over this side here we've got our calorie intake and our calorie usage. So at the moment it's pretty good, but there's a lot of red going on here. So we're down on carbs, we're down on protein, we're down on pretty much everything. Here's our digestion monitor. So how much food you've got in your stomach, how much of that has been processed into your intestines, how much is in your colon before you need to poop, and how much fluid is in your bladder before you need to pee. So let's go and have a look around. So the first thing you want to do before you really go anywhere is look at the ground and search for rocks. So you can see we've got a couple picked up there. So we want to make ourselves a stone knife. So into the crafting inventory, and you'll see here on the left all the objects on the ground in your vicinity. So we start the game with your inmate shirt and your inmate pants. The pants have 2 storage slots and the shirt has 1. These are the slots of various other clothing items you can equip: hats and beanies and glasses and shirts, jackets, bulletproof vests, all sorts of shenanigans, and boots and pants and that kind of thing. So you've got small stones and normal stones. To craft a stone knife we only need 2 of any kind of stone. So here's your crafting items, the things you can make. Anything that hasn't got a hash line through it you can make with the things that are currently in your inventory and on the ground. And anything that's got yellow stripes through it you potentially could make if you have enough of the stuff that it needs. So you just click on what you want, and then over here it'll tell you what you need and what else it could potentially be used with. So we're going to make a stone knife. We've got 2 rocks on the ground. These arrows here show you that if there's alternate things that can be used to make the same thing. So we've got 2 small rocks, or those rocks there, doesn't really matter. Hit craft and we'll start making it. Now the other thing that's I wasn't used to in SCUM, and it's something that still catches me out now even after 10 hours in the game, is every time you craft something, it goes on the ground. So if we go back to the inventory, the stone knife that we just made doesn't come into our pockets. It's actually on the ground. So you can double click it and it'll go into your first available slot, or you can drag it wherever you want over there, or you can put it in your hands. You can also right click it, examine it, select it, or take it in your hands, and it'll put it straight over here in your hands. Now you've got two holsters on your shoulders, or your left and your right shoulder, 1 and 2, and then your quick access slots here. So most of the big items you will store on your back, and for the beginning of the game that will be your spears, or axes if you're lucky enough to find one early on. The thing you need to be careful of, if you've got something in your hand, as soon as you do anything else that requires the use of your hand, you potentially might drop what's in your hand on the ground. That happens a lot until you get used to it. So what we want to do, this looks like we can get some food here. Here we go, we've got some rose hips, so we're going to eat that. So right click, or you can double click it and pick it up or whatever, but we're going to eat it just because we can. So see there, it's gone into my hands and the knife's gone into my pockets, but potentially if my pockets were all full, that knife's going on the ground, and if you don't notice it and then you go somewhere else, you're going to be knifeless. So what we want to do is find one of, probably not this one, no, this one. Find a bush and start cutting stuff. Now he will pull out the knife if his hands are free, or if you've got a better knife, he'll pull out the most appropriate weapon for what the task that you want to do. So now you'll see on the ground we've got some small sticks and we've got one long wooden stick. Now we need a long wooden stick to make a spear. Over here, improvised wooden spear. So you need the knife to be able to whittle the spear down, and you need the long wooden stick. So we're going to make one of them. My recommendation is to make at least 2, but if you can, you probably want to make the stone spear, but you can't do that until you get some rope. So again, we've crafted that and it's on the ground, so we're just going to pick that up and it should go into slot 1 on our back there. Alrighty, very good. So that's the first one. Make another one. And we'll get going. I usually make 3 and just walk everywhere with one in my hands, but for this demo we'll just do 2. Now once you've got your spear, you can use it to hit people with by clicking the left mouse button and swinging it, which I'll show you in a second. So if we press 1, we'll pull out the first one, and left click will just swing it. And that obviously uses stamina. You can see over on the left there my stamina goes down when I do that. Now over there in the distance we can see a dude hobbling around. Now contrary to popular belief, he's not a zombie. He's what's referred to in game as a puppet. And what the puppets are, they are human, but they're previously dead. So you could argue that they're zombies, but what they actually are is they're former inmates that have died and have been brought back to life by the BCU implant in the back of their head. So they hobble around and that kind of thing, much like a zombie, but you can't be infected or any of that kind of thing at this stage. So with your spears, as I said, you can swing and hit with them, but you can also throw them by holding down the left mouse button and you get a throwing arc. Now I've found so far the easiest way to use the spear for me personally is to press enter and go into first person mode, because it just makes it a hell of a lot easier to aim, and you don't go, doesn't get in your way. Your character's body doesn't get in your way when you're trying to do your throw. Now there it is there. I was going to say it's can be quite hard to find things if you miss. Let's pick that up please, not kick it. Alright, anyway, so we're going to go over and kill one of these guys, and then I'll show you the next thing that's very useful to do. So the other thing that's useful to know is your mouse wheel controls you're running. It's not shift like most games. So when you roll the mouse wheel towards you backwards, you slow down, and as you notch it forward, you start a little bit of a run, and then all the way up to a full out, all-out sprint. Crouch is C, which is your normal, most FPS game keys. I'm going to try and see if we can sneak up on this dude, because he's got his back turned to us. No, I haven't. So we'll get that out. Go back into first person. And you get a little bit of a reticle if you're on a target. It's probably a bit cheesy to throw it at him in the bushes, but anyway. So a wooden spear to the head will kill one of these guys outright. Anywhere else on the body will take half their health. Now, hopefully, we can hit him. Got him. Alright, so now we'll get back up. And we'll get the other spear out. And this is why you want to have 2 spears. And don't swing too early, because that's never good. Now, I could throw this second spear at him if I wanted to. But I'll just show you how he's hit me there. Show you some of the mechanics of the fighting. So you can take quite a bit of damage. And I'm having a shocker. Alright, we're going to throw it at him, because this is annoying me now. Come on, buddy. Oh, and he missed. Oh, now we're going to have to punch him. Yeah, take that, bastard. So, let's get that back. Alright. Oh, the other guy's there. So let's crouch down. Hopefully he doesn't come for us. Okay, pick up. Now what we want to do here is search this guy. Now when you search an enemy or a fallen enemy or boxes and things, all the stuff goes on the ground again. So press tab to see what things you got. Now, yep, leather jacket, we'll take that. That's going to give us the same coverage as the inmate shirt. Blue jeans, put them on and drop. It immediately drops our inmate pants. Now if I had stuff in those pants, which I did, I had my knife, they're in the pants, that it doesn't transfer to your new item. So if you click here, there you see the items you had before, and you can double click to reclaim them. Now we'll stick on the hiking boots because they're better than what we've got on. I don't want them. Definitely want the wire because that's useful, and we'll take that. So now what we want to do is, now that we've got a bit of clothing on, these shirts we want to cut into rags. Very important early on, because we can make ourselves a small backpack from rags and rag strips, and you can also make bandages from clean rags. So see how these rags don't say that they're dirty, so they're actually clean. So we want to get them into our inventory before they get dirty. Rag strips. I know it's spelt stripes, but I'm hoping they meant for it to be strips. Anyway, so we're probably, this is actually really lucky that we've come across 2 puppets early in the game, because we should get enough stuff. Actually, we might even be able to do it. Let's have a look. So what we need to make a courier bag, which is the first level backpack, is you need 3 rags, 1 type of rope, so either wire or you can actually make rope. You can use cotton or tree bark rope or improvised rope. So I'm not sure whether it'll work with the wire we've got, because it's not a full spool of wire, but we'll give it a go. So we need 3 and the knife. So let's go back here. Where's my knife? That's in my hand already. Put that on the ground. We'll put that on the ground and we'll see if we can make it. No, it's not going to let us. Alright, so what we want to do now then is make the improvised rope, and to do that you need 5 cloth strips. So we can cut these rags into strips. I think you get 3 for each rag. So we've got 3 there, and we want another. We've only got. I only want another 1, but what can you do? So we'll take that back while we're looking around. No, we can't. Have to wait till we finish cutting. Alright, so now we should be able to craft the rope, improvised rope. Yes, please. So we need that, and then we need 3 pieces of cloth, which we have. So that's awesome. And there we go. So we click over here, click craft, and now we'll have a mini backpack, which is great. Now, the improvised backpack is the same size as this small improvised backpack, so it's actually not worth getting all the extra materials to do this initially. You might want to do it later because it's a little bit more durable, but realistically, first part of the game, spears, backpack, and then food and water. Alright, so we've done that. Backpack's on the ground. We can double click it and equip it. No, we can't. Can we? No? Okay, then we're going to have to just click it and equip, and now we've got 9 slots up there. We don't need the shoes, and you can't do anything else with them, so we'll just leave that behind. And as you can see, my knife's about to break, so we probably should make another one while we're here before we take on that other guy. So just look at the ground, search for rocks. As long as you see 2, there's only 1 there. There we go. Alright, we'll make another knife, and we're doing well. Now the other thing I haven't done yet is chop this body up, but we'll do that in a minute and I'll explain all of that. First we'll just pick up this other knife, and off we go. Alright, so we'll get this other guy. He looks like he's got an army jacket on. Got him! Oh no, he's not dead. Of course I killed him in the frickin' tree. God damn it. That's going to make it hard to see the stuff, but you can see it from the inventory, so that's alright. Okay, so we'll take the spears back. We've got a military helmet, we'll certainly have that, thank you. Got some gloves, we'll equip them. Military shirt, now that should be separate to the jacket, hopefully. No, it's not. And it's got less storage, so forget about it. We'll probably cut that up later. Military pants are good because I think they have more storage than the jeans. Let's have a look. Yes, they do. So we can cut that up. Cut into rags. Combat boots. Yeah, combat boots are good too because combat boots have storage, so we'll put them on as well once we finish cutting this up. Okay, see here we've got dirty rags. So dirty rags are no good for making bandages from. So what I actually should have done was make my backpack out of the dirty rags instead of using up the clean rags, because now I haven't got anything to use as a bandage, but whatever. It's just a info vid, so it's all good. So the combat boots, you get 2 slots, and the knives, the better knives than the stone knife, are 2 slots, so I usually store my knife in my boots, but you can put anything in there. The other thing about your storage, you'll see here, you've got a weight limit for each piece of clothing that can only, so the military pants can only store up to 2 kilos worth of gear, and everything's got a weight limit. 10 kilos you can put in the backpack, 10 kilos in the jacket, and half a kilo in the boots. So that's why it's a good option for knives. Yeah, so the other thing you can do with these rags, rather than have them take up all your inventory slots, is you can craft a bundle of strips and also of rags. You can use up to 5 rags and 1 tie, either a wire or 1 strip, to bundle together, which saves on inventory space. And it basically, the best thing to do is to wait until you've got 5, but if you need inventory space, you can do it with any amount under that, and that will bundle them all into a bundle of rags that only takes 2 slots sideways like that. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's chop this dude up with our knife. Probably should chop the other guy up so you can see it, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now you can see we've got all these body parts everywhere. You can see him here. So you've got his guts, his torso, arms and legs and feet, and his head. So I usually pick an arm or a leg, and you right click it and just go chop, and that'll turn that into some fat and some pieces of meat. Early on, it's probably until you start finding stuff in villages and trees and berries and that kind of stuff. Human flesh steak is probably what you're going to be dining on. So you can see here we've got a couple of bones, and we've got some puppet meat, so we can just chuck that in our inventory. Now with the bones, we don't really need it right now, but you can actually cut the bones up. What's happened? Why can't I cut them up? Maybe my knife isn't good enough? I don't know. Interesting. You can maybe you did an axe. I can't remember. But you can cut up the bones into bone needles, which you can use in your crafting recipes later as well. So don't really need it right away, but it's something to be mindful of when you're chopping the hell out of your puppet buddies. So stand up. Once you've got yourself some meat, you can eat it raw just by right clicking on it and going eat. No, why can't it? What's going on? I don't understand why I can't. Take in hands? Maybe I'm not hungry. Okay, doesn't matter. I know for sure you can put them on a skewer, so we'll do that instead. So you look down here at the items you can craft. There is a skewer here which needs a long wooden stick, so we've got to go back to another. Get that meat out of our hands first. Where are we? No, come on. Take in hands. Alright, let's see if we can get a long stick out of here. Nothing in there. So if you've got the right tools, the trees will give you the option to cut or search. So once you get an axe or make yourself a stone axe or whatever, you'll find you'll have the option when you walk up to trees to cut them down to get logs and branches. So let's have a look. What do we get there? Small and small. Nope. Nothing in there. Okay, hopefully there's one in there. Long wooden stick. Alright, cool. So let's make a skewer. And you can put up to 5 pieces of meat on a skewer. It is fairly cumbersome to carry around, so you probably don't want to do this until you're hungry. But I just want to show you how to do it. So that's something that you know how to do. And once you've got yourself the skewer, we can put the meat on it. Now, you can eat the meat raw. You don't have to cook it. Obviously, it's better if you cook it. But for now, you can just sort of walk over to it and pick it up and eat it. So take it in our hands, and then we can... That's really annoying how you can't do that. But anyway, the other option is to put it on the ground over here and right-click it like that. So now... This is something else you need to know. Eat or eat all. So at the moment you can see 5 of 5. There's 5 pieces of meat on the skewer. If you hit eat all, you'll eat them all. And if your stomach is near to being full, you will actually vomit after a while, and you'll lose all of the vitamins, minerals, and the benefit of having eaten that food, even though it's nasty human flesh. So what you want to do, unless you're absolutely starving, you just want to eat 1. And then that'll drop down to 4 out of 5, and then we'll have a look at our metabolism and see what goes on. So now our stomach volume's 11. We're currently at 200 mils worth of skewered meat. 15% full bladder. So at the moment our calorie intake is higher than our usage because we're not running around much. And we've taken a little bit of an improvement there. So let's eat another one. Can just get it there. There we go. I think it depends on where you click. Obviously early access, that's things like that are going to happen. So now here's our second serving. Our stomach volume is now 22%. So when you get around about half to 3/4, you'll start getting a message. Usually over here, I can't use my pointer when I get out of this screen, but just above our health, stamina, and energy and what's it called? Hydration? Jesus. Yeah, you'll get a message here. You need to pee, you need to poop, you're hungry, etc. So that just appears above the health over there. V is your combat mode. Apparently that will allow you to lock on to targets when there's multiple targets, and pressing V again stops it. That's really it as far as beginner getting around in the world, things you need to know straight off the bat. If I knew these sort of tips when I first started playing, it would have taken considerably less time to sort of learn, know my way around and get on top of the game. I wasn't sure whether I would like SCUM due to its really in-depth complexity, but I am really enjoying it so far. It's because the map is so large, it is, even on a multiplayer server, like I'm playing on an oceanic public server provided by the developers, and unless you go to somewhere that's like a hotspot location, like the airfield that you can see down sort of towards the middle right of the map at B1, B2, that's one of the hotspots where most players go to try and get all the good weapons and armor and that kind of thing. So if you were after PvP and a bit of fight action, definitely head that way. But, if you're a bit more subdued and want to just sort of potter around and, gear yourself up slowly before engaging with other people, you're a pretty safe bet that you'll be able to, just sort of go to the smaller camps and smaller towns and find yourself some gear before you probably even come across anyone. The other thing I haven't mentioned before I go is up in the top right corner there, you can see the fame points. Now, fame points are useful in a number of ways, but the main way, or the main thing you want to do, is get your fame points to at least 50 if you can. So what that does is when you die, because you're going to die, it'll happen, whether someone kills you or you fall off a cliff or you just die of starvation or you forget to poop. It costs you 50 fame points to respawn in the same vicinity of where you died. So if you want a chance at getting your gear back that you've already collected, you want to try and keep your fame points above 50. If you don't care, you can just respawn at a random area on the map, and that's I think 25 fame points. You can go into negative on your fame, so it's in your best interest to try and keep doing stuff in the game. Now, as you can see, I've killed 2 guys and done a little bit of crafting, and I'm at 44. I haven't been to a house, haven't discovered anything, none of that stuff yet. So it's not too hard if you just sort of take it easy and start building it up. The other thing that fame does for you is in your inventory, and press number 4, the events. So when you're on a multiplayer server, you will see all the players that are on the server are ranked by fame, and the highest ranked player, if you manage to find and kill them, you get massive bonuses. One of the things I read in one of the developer posts was that, similar to in the Hunger Games, where you get sponsors and people in the crowd that are watching you on TV, if they like the way you're playing or the things you're doing, they can sponsor you, and you might get like a special airdrop that's only for you. So that's kind of cool, but I haven't had that happen yet. I've, like I said, only been playing 10 hours with my other guy and haven't seen any of that yet. But I have got my fame up to around about 100 and something, and that your rank goes from nobody to something different. But really, at the moment, at the beginning of the game, you just want to try and get yourself your starter weapons and armor, starter weapons and bag rather, and a little bit of food. And remember, the biggest thing to remember is, see how I'm carrying my food at the moment? That doesn't fit anywhere in my bag. It might fit on my shoulder, actually. Let's find out. I'll drop that on the ground. No, it doesn't. So there you go. So as soon as I want to do anything now with my hands, whether that's climb a ladder, climb a fence, drink water with my hands from a river, I will drop that skewer or whatever's in my hands. And like I said earlier, if you don't notice it or forget about it, you'll run off and you'll be a kilometre away before you realise that you've just left your food behind and potentially be screwed. So yeah, there you have it. That's my first quick tips for Scum. Hope it was informative and interesting. Hope I didn't bore anyone or ramble on too much. But it's looking like it's going to be a great game. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this develops as they add more sections and more things to the game. If you did like the video, please give it a like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your mum, and hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.